Hello, and welcome to Does It Resonate With You, the thought-provoking conversation show where your hosts, Angie of the ZXUH Method and John the Tarot Geek, figure out what resonates with them while encouraging you to find what resonates with you. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome to Does It Resonate With You. John, you're back again this week. I'm so glad you're back.
Thank you.
I'm glad everything is sort of ironing out. Things are kind of ironing out for me, too.
Good.
I am looking forward to this conversation. And before we start, I just want to let you all know that John and I have been talking a little bit about trying to shake things up a little. So as we ask these questions on screen, we would love it if you would put your answers in the comments. We really want to try to connect with you and figure out what do you want to hear about?
Sure. Yep.
I mean, we could sit here for hours and just shoot the breeze, and that's a lot of fun, but we want it to be valuable for you too. So, we want it so that we want to make it so that you want to hit that subscribe button. You want to hit that, what is that bell called? The one to get notifications.
They call it the bell.
Share button, right? We want you to share it with your friends because we want you to think this is fun and informative and, no judgment. We want you to take what resonates with you and leave the rest behind.
Yeah.
But we want to give you food for thought and ways to expand what you're thinking. And in the meanwhile, this I'm all over this topic. I love this topic. I'm so excited.
Yeah, this is your jam.
I'm so excited for this. This is really interesting to me because I see that different people have different ideas of what guides, teachers, and angels are, or what and how they work. But I've also noticed over the last years some similarities. So one of the things that we got to start with is that intuition, right? Connecting with energy from the other side is how you connect to, receive, and interpret energy. How you interpret energy is 100% based on your filter. What lives in here? Is it a place of neutral, free from assumption, judgment, self-doubt, and fear? Or, are you afraid because you're afraid of things you can't see, which many, many people are. So,
yeah.
But what's interesting to me is that I have noticed on more than multiple occasions, that there are some energies from the other side that people, no matter what their filter is, see them or experience them similarly.
Yeah, I can think of one example.
Yeah, I can think of a few, but what do you got?
So is it Archangel Michael that's kind of playful and
oh yes. Yeah, a little bit snarky.
yes. Snarky. Yep.
Yeah, not snarky, not in a bad way, but right.
Yeah.
But yes, and it doesn't matter who is channeling Michael or who is, delivering a message from Michael. It's always the same. It's always filled with light, but then there's always that little bit of, y'all are human and we're not. So listen to us, like we might know better.
Right. Right.
So yeah, there's whimsical. That. I forgot. Right. Totally. I forgot about that. Well, and there's another, like a really amazing example that I have. And I point because that's where she is. Her name is Miranda. And y'all have probably heard of her. She is a white witch. Sometimes I call her a healer or a medicine woman because depending on who you're talking to, that word witch tends to...
Sure, has connotations.
It has connotations that apply not at all in any way, shape, or form to her, but... to the human world, right? So, but way in the beginning, when I just was starting to put my toes in the water of this journey, I used to go to these classes, and they ended with the shavasana, like yoga.
Sure.
And this, my affinity for the song from Lord of the Rings,
yep.
Right? Into the West, the Annie Lennox song, which we will never play on this show because we cannot afford it, at least at this point.
You can play 30 seconds though.
Yeah, that's true. But you can't get the great benefit of it. Anyway, laying there listening to this show, I used to see this woman, beautiful, beautiful woman with long red hair and flowing clothes. I could tell she was like it was Ireland or Scotland or, something of that nature. And that was all. That was it. That was all. I just saw her. I just kept seeing her every single time I listened to that song. I would see
Mm.
her. And it took me probably 3 years to actually connect with her and find out who and what she was. She is a healer, but what's interesting is, because I never told, now of course I've spilled the beans, so everybody's probably going to see her this way, but I have done sessions now, group sessions. I do group energy meditation healing sessions, and one in particular was, she's got a really unique way of cutting cords, an amazing way. But the people who participated, about 80% of them described her in the exact same way. Long, beautiful red hair,
Cool.
diaphanous. I mean, it was just unbelievable
Wow.
that, I mean, she's my guide, she's with me, but that doesn't mean exclusive, right?
Right.
But the fact that they saw a similar, a similar vision is really interesting to me, because when you translate energy through your filter, I believe what you see is determined by what you sense that energy feels like to you, right?
Hmm.
So, is it just that she feels very Irish and Gaelic and, fairy-like, or like a healer, or is she really a redhead on the other side? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's
Interesting.
so it's an
Interesting.
interesting conversation. So, and I don't want to take up the whole show talking about my guide, that one. Oh, he's got to come out sooner or later, but we'll let him, Matthew, we'll let him
Yes, I was going
come
to
out at
say,
his
I
own
hope we
pace.
get to chat about him
You
today.
you absolutely will. He always is willing to chat with you, right?
Okay.
Like, but that depends on whether or not I'm willing to,
Let
we'll,
him
we'll
let him
just see,
through.
we'll see how it goes, right? Like, they come through me anyway, but
Right.
I'm more, like, I'm not like a trance. I don't speak in a trance channeler, or
Right.
I don't like check out, but if you watch, there will be subtle differences in the way that I speak, or the intonation,
Sure.
that you can, hear the difference. He's not as smarty pants as he used to be.
Hmm.
That energy has dialed back a little bit. So that was how you could really tell it was
Oh
him
yeah.
talking.
Yeah. I could always tell when you were
Yeah.
bringing him
So,
through.
which I think is kind of funny, but
Yeah.
anyway, so I'm just gonna, like, we'll just start. I have, and this is where I want to introduce the first question here. So, have you met a guide or two? Let us know in the comments. Do you have guides? What do you think? Do you have, you have them? Have you
Mhm.
met them? Are you wanting to meet them? What is the deal with that? And I will tell you that guides for me come and go. There are some that are very, seem to be, here for the duration. There are others that, have a particular purpose, and when that purpose is fulfilled, they tend to, either step back or move on.
Oh. Oh, that's
um
interesting.
yeah,
And they're here
so
for they got a job to do. They're on a mission.
right, they're on a mission. So there's that. Now then there's, and I subscribe to the Radley Valentine way of thinking about guardian angels.
I was just going to ask that.
I believe, like he does, that the guardian angels are assigned to you. They're yours, and they're with you lifetime to
For
lifetime to
the entire
lifetime,
duration of your
for
life.
the entire duration, so that when you are here, you are aware of their presence. And we're going to do an episode on the force, right? We're going to
Nice.
talk about the force, folks. So when that comes up, maybe I can, twist John's arm, and we'll make that for next week. But anyway, you have an awareness that they're there, that they're there. And then when you are on the other side, when you leave this world, they are there, and you commune with them
Hmm.
again.
Oh,
So they
that's
are with
cool.
you always, back and forth, back and forth. I don't believe that those angels have ever incarnated.
That's another question I had.
And then there are people who believe firmly that they have loved ones that are guardian angels.
Yes.
And I think that if that's what you believe, that's fabulous, right? And I believe that you're correct. In my way of thinking, to make the way that would fit in, is that they're not necessarily angels, but they are most definitely guardians.
Okay.
Right?
So that
So,
might be called a guardian guide, perhaps, or a
right,
guardian
right. Or
teacher.
a guardian spirit or a
Yeah.
guardian,
Yep.
I mean, guardian loved one, guardian. But if you want to call it a guardian angel, my grandma is my guardian angel, go for it, right?
Right.
Like there's no guardian angel police.
Yep.
And is it really important that you are able to differentiate between all of them? It depends, I think, on the why, right? Of
Yep.
of what you're connecting,
Yeah.
with.
You know,
So
that brings something to mind, that was really important for me. So the idea of angels has been around since, well, clearly the idea of angels is the longest running spiritual being that we know about, right?
sure.
They're in the Bible, and they're written about, thousands of years before, yeah, thousands of years. Abraham talked to angels, right?
Right.
And that's just a given. So one of the things I read was kind of like, I think either Renaissance or Middle Ages time period, and it was one of the it was one of the mystical leaders in the church at the time, who wrote this long explanation of all these different levels in the angelic realms, and he had names for like 7 different levels of angels.
Oh
and
yeah.
and I read that pre enlightenment for me, and I was like, what is this? This guy has just made up these 7, like, what absolute malarkey, right? Because how can you even know that, right? And now, and then post enlightenment, or post woo woo me,
Right.
I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what we do right now when we're connecting, and when we meditate and connect with our guides, teachers, and angels. Of course we could know that. And so
Right.
I'm dying to go back and find that book, because I really want to read it now, because I'm sure
Oh.
he had some real solid, interesting things that he learned in his communication with angels. So isn't that funny that before, I would read this, before I read this thing, as it's like he's just making it up. And now that I know you're not making it up, I want to go back and read that again, because now it's got some real significance.
And yes, or it doesn't, right? Like,
True,
wait,
true.
and the only reason I say that is not because I don't believe you, and not because I don't buy it, because I do buy it. But if you don't buy it, that's okay too. The
Right.
angels are
Yep.
still here for you. They still love you. They still want the best for you. They still want to help you. Whether you believe in the I can't even remember, like there's I took a class with Radley Valentine. I'm really bad with remembering stuff like that unless I really put it into practice right away. But I remember the different levels, and I was like, oh, okay, well, it makes sense, you know. But if that does not resonate with you, it's okay. You can still believe in angels without believing in that structure, right?
Right. Right.
Because it almost does seem like that structure is kind of a human construct, a way that humans would sort things out.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So you would wonder, like, this is how humans interpret it for the physical brain, the mental, the ego, right, to
Right.
understand.
Yeah, we have to
But
kind of
when you can
dumb it
access,
down almost.
yeah, maybe, right? Like, it's too bad we can't. I mean, technically, I suppose we could pop over and then come back, and tell you what it was like. But I think you still, even if you did that, you still have to bring it back in a way that the human mind can, it can conceptualize it.
Yep.
So everything is going to have an element of a human construct.
Yep.
Anything
That is
that you
true.
are, that you're dealing with this. So, have you, John, met a guide or two?
Yes. I'm a little less advanced, shall I say? I know that I have had, so let me tell you a couple things. I think I've told my near accident story, but I'll relay it again. I was at a stoplight ready to turn left, and there was a hill. So the oncoming traffic came up over a hill. And as I was ready to go, I got the green turn left light, and I heard a voice say, "Stop, someone's going to run the red." And so I did. And right at that moment, someone came flying over that hill, flying through the intersection. And I am convinced to this day that that was my guardian angel. Right?
Absolutely. That would be
Right?
exactly who would do that, a
Right.
guardian angel,
Right. And I
right? Or
heard,
a guardian spirit,
yep,
like
but I heard the voice in my head, right? It
absolutely.
was like right there, "Stop, someone's going to run the red." It's exactly what happened. So I've had interactions with my, spiritual guides and teachers and angels. I had a session with Val maybe a couple months ago by now, and she helped me find. She can tap into that really well, and she said there's one that's got this special kind of personality trait. And I said, "Does he have a name?" And she says he's not giving me his name, but he wants you to give him a name. And so I called him Cosmo. So I've got one guide called Cosmo.
Cosmo Kramer. Just kidding.
Well, it was kind of cosmological, like he's kind of out there.
Right.
So that was the name I gave him. So the one that I've identified is Cosmo.
Okay. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And
you're fortunate that you've got you can feel the energy of each one. And I don't think I'm quite that advanced.
well,
But
we're all different. Remember that
yeah,
I have been playing in the energy for quite a number of years,
true,
right?
true.
And
Yep.
this is where this there is a piece of that play. That certification work that I did, that made me more aware of the energy around me,
All
right?
right.
Interesting. I was working with a client today who has professional offices, and she's got individual professional offices in an office building that rents professional offices. And when I started with her, she had one, and she just got her third one. And I said, for some reason, your business feels L-shaped now. I was like, L-shaped. It feels L-shaped to me. She said, well, two offices are on one side of the hall, and then the other one is directly across on the other side of the hall. So it is an L shape. I was like,
Weird. That's
so,
cool.
right? So it's, would I have been able to do that 3 years ago when I started working with her? I don't know.
Right.
So it's the more that you interact with the energy, the more you sort of decide how you want that to look, how you want it to look, the easier it gets. Now, as far as these, there are 9 of them now. As far as these 9 go, I had an awareness of 8. And then the last time I did a session with Val, she pointed out the 9th, who's directly behind me. And I think personally that you become accustomed to the energy around you. And so it's not that you can't have an awareness of them, but if you're accustomed to the energy that's around you, I think that sometimes you need someone else to point it out for you, and then all of a sudden, because I remember way back when I first started working with Val, and Val was on a couple weeks ago, and a couple long weeks ago before that. Anyway, she is the one that introduced me to Matthew. And the first thing she said, well, who is Matthew? And I was like, I don't know, is that smarty pants guy? She said, yeah, that's who it is. Um, because I had heard him in my head, and like he's got a real gift for sarcasm,
Hmm.
and I appreciate sarcasm
Mhm.
as an art form.
Yes.
I truly do. So we are of like energy when it comes to, yes, I know. He and I are the same. Like he is me and I am him.
Mm.
That's some kind of a merry-go-round with different timeline type things that
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure I understand. But seeing as I had an experience with a alternate timeline not all that long ago, which is we'll talk about maybe on another episode
Sure.
altogether. Um, okay, all right then. Alternate timeline, okay.
Right.
Why not?
Yep.
All
You
this
know,
other
we're not
weird stuff.
that whole
So
other realm is not bound by linear time.
exactly right. So have you met a guide or two? John has told you he's met Cosmo. Sorry about the Cosmo Kramer thing, but I think it's,
It's cute.
um Cosmo. I love he's always been a favorite. Like if that would be the energy, I could see having a guide like him. Like because he was mellow and smart, but not um well, what is the word I'm looking for?
Not in your face, right?
Yeah, exactly, right? Like not in your face, like
Yep.
kind of like, oh yeah, look. I mean, you got to get it. You get he gets your attention just because of the energy he presents in the room, right? Like,
Right.
but he's chill and he's mellow and he's not overbearing,
Right.
right, in
Right.
any way, and that makes sense to me. So yeah, that's that one. You have a couple other ones that are hanging around, but this is not about you now. I'll tell you about that maybe off camera, or
Okay.
I will tell you about that. We'll see. We'll
Right.
we'll see what happens. If we let Matthew talk. What?
Okay.
Oh, we got time yet. So here is the next one that I want to ask, and because you brought this up, so I think we should talk a little bit about this.
Mm.
Do your guides and angels have names? So you came up with the name. I've got names. Some of the names are given, like because I have a god here and I've got an archangel, right? I've got Archangel Uriel and I've got the god Ether, and they work together on empowered chakra Reiki.
Oh, cool.
So and then I have silver and pink. I gave them their names, right? So
Sweet.
one of the things that I think is interesting, and a lot of people, get very disappointed when they don't get names. But the truth is, names are a human construct,
Yes, that's what I've been told too.
right? Names
Like,
are a
don't
human
worry about.
construct.
In fact, one of the classes or something, I think it was Lisa Williams, when in Lisa Williams' class, she was saying, if you don't get names, don't worry, because the whole point is that they're there to help you. And the human name is just, a convenience, but they're still going to help you no matter what.
So here's what I will say about it. If you have the ability, like for me, and this is interesting, you're going to find this interesting. For me, energy feels like energy. Like I can't really, well, I guess I can to some degree, but I can't differentiate like between necessarily the different energies. Like I knew there were 8, but only because I knew there were 8. Like the 2 columns of energy on either side of
Mm.
me
Yep.
feels that it all feels the same.
Yep.
But I knew there were 8 because I knew there were 8. I know that it's Matthew talking because I hear him right here.
Okay.
And I know it's Pink because I hear her right here.
I had that.
Right? Yeah.
So
Like
that story I just told about the car, I
mhm.
knew it wasn't my own thoughts, because my own thoughts come from here, but it was
Right.
way behind me.
Right? See? And
Weird.
and remember the wheel, the center of my work, the wheel.
Yep.
If you close your eyes and like when I ever take people on this session, the wheel, always they're in the center of the wheel facing 12 o'clock, behind them at 6 o'clock. Every single person I've worked with, I find their guardian angel behind them
Oh, cool.
at 6 o'clock, right?
Wow.
Like,
That's
I've got your
totally
6, right? I got your 6, right?
that sounds like
So
NCIS. On your 6, boss.
there you go, right? Like, so the thing is that if energy feels just like energy, the names are kind of important, but they don't, you can give them names. That's what I'm trying to give you
Right.
permission to give them the name yourself. It's just important for you to be able to differentiate, like not
Oh,
everybody's going to have 8 or 9, right?
right,
Like I'm
right.
crazy, like I'm an overachiever when it comes to that kind of stuff, I guess. But they all have different, like they're all responsible for different things. Ether and Uriel, empowered chakra Reiki. Pink is my Akashic record gatekeeper. Silver, she kind of manages the energy of everything. Miranda's the healer. Fernanda's all about bridges. So, and then
Wow.
there's Matthew, who was like my right
Comic
hand,
relief.
right? Right. And then you have Metatron because I'm always late. Like I always need Metatron for time
Yeah, time.
management.
You know what? I was just thinking about that today.
Metatron is amazing for time management. So when it's an archangel that you have an awareness of that you're connecting to, you call them by their name, right? Like you
Right, because
recognize them by
it's
however
a
you
known
recognize
name.
them.
Yeah.
Right. But I gave Pink her name. Val told me that Silver's name was Sylvia, and I said, no, it's not Sylvia, it's Silver. So Pink and Silver, I mean, why not? And then Miranda's got red hair. Miranda, I got Miranda's name in a meditation, I believe.
Cool.
So but Miranda and I have been incarnated together.
Mm.
So that's a different thing altogether,
That goes
right?
back to that question of which spiritual beings were previously human and which were not.
Right.
Angels are likely not, right? They've always
I
been
believe
spiritual
that's what I
beings.
believe,
Yeah,
right?
that's what I've heard too. Guides, of course, past loved ones were, by definition,
Absolutely.
incarnated. And then there's some apparently that may have been incarnated at one time, but have moved up and no longer reincarnate.
Yeah, I think that's probably, I mean, if you look at it, if you believe the stories, Sandalphon and Metatron were brothers. Metatron was Enoch. So
Oh,
they were human.
oh wow.
I
I'm not aware of that. Where
Oh
does
yeah, yeah, yeah.
wow,
Uh um I don't remember who Sandalphon was.
wow. I'm guessing there's some ancient writing about this.
Yeah, have you ever heard of the book of Enoch?
No.
Oh God, don't
Where
read it. It's horrible.
I missed that day in school.
Oh my God, it's just terrible.
What do you mean it's
Um,
terrible?
it's so fear conscious, like
Oh,
it's
oh,
just
okay.
awful.
Well, so is the
Prophetic
Old
and
Testament, right?
yeah, I no, I don't know. It's no, it's we can't do any kind of a share screen, right? Like Metatron is not a figure of the Hebrew Bible, but his name appears briefly in several passages of the Talmud, whatever that is.
Right. The Talmud is the
Oh,
yep. Anyway.
yeah, yeah. His legends are predominantly found in mystical Kabbalistic texts.
Ooh, okay. That's where I need to dig into a little bit then.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you were to look to look into this a little bit, I think that you would find it fascinating. And
Yeah.
then that whole nutshell thing that you could put together would be excellent for me to hear. And it's a
Okay.
perfect relationship as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, because I like to dig into that stuff.
Yes, you do. So perfect. I like to work with them, like Sandalphon is if you got something you need help with right away, Sandalphon is the one that you want. Sandalphon, he who speaks to God, right? Like he has God's ear, the universe ear, Buddha, whatever words you want to use. Um, Prayers go quick through Sandalphon. Metatron is about children, but also time. Like
Hmm.
the best story ever. I live anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes from I have a physical space for the moment. So, and I was having an event at my space and I got to the parking lot and I left the keys at home.
Oh no.
And I got to the parking lot 10 minutes before the event was supposed to start. But I had my partner, Michael, the other guy that I used to work with, was there. So I was like, Michael, I have to go home and get the keys. Please just, keep everybody here. And I am telling you right now, I do not know how it happened, but that place is literally 20 to 30 minutes from my home. I came home. My husband ran the keys out to the driveway. I went back to the space and I was there in 20 minutes. Home and back in 20 minutes.
That's amazing.
It was 10 minutes after, like,
Yep.
I got there at 10:02 and it was 10 minutes after. So I was only 10 minutes late. Like how
Oh,
that happened,
right.
I mean, that
Right.
was like that was one of the most profound
Yep.
experiences I
Time gift.
had with that sort of time bending thing. Like no way to do it. Like just impossible
Right.
to do it. Um
Cool.
yeah, right? Like so you just never know, you know, if you believe, so many things are possible if you just believe.
Right.
So anyway, so that's it with the names. So you guys, if you put in the comments, let's hear some of the names that you got. Now I remember working with somebody one time, and the guy literally said, "I would tell you, but you can't pronounce it." Like, which I thought was hysterical because it reminded me of Mr. Spock, who's like in Star Trek, and I think it's his first name where he said you can't pronounce it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's what is it, like art imitating life, imitating you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's very cool. So if you have guides with names, or if you've named a guide, or if you've been given a name, we'd love to hear about it in the comments. And if you have any other questions, throw those in the comments too, because we're always open to doing another
Yep.
conversation.
For sure.
Well, look at what time it is already.
Ooh.
Shameless plug. Time for the shameless plug. Wow. I mean, this goes quick, right? So, what are you plugging today, John?
So woowobook.com. I'll give you a little bit update on the publishing process. I have the book at the publisher now, and we're going through a final round of publisher edits. And I am putting together my launch team. And what the launch team is basically I'm going to have a group of people that are all going to buy the book on the first day in order to get the book noticed by Amazon. And the launch team is also going to put in a review of the book on the first day. So I get the minimum number of reviews to get Amazon's attention. So please do go to the woowobook.com and sign up to get a free chapter. That gets you on my list. And if you are willing, I'll connect with each person individually. But if someone wants to be on my launch team, I would be absolutely thrilled.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. And that they'll be able to get, like, is it just a Kindle version? Is it a hard copy? What's the?
Yes. So on the launch day, I mean, you can buy either one, but it's easiest on launch day if you buy the Kindle version, so that it's a quick, it's a quick install, and you have it immediately as opposed to waiting for shipping. And so the way Amazon works is within, I believe, the first 30 days of when a book gets launched, Amazon pays special attention to how that book does. And if that book has good sales and good reviews during that first 30 days, you get a boost later of more visibility of that book. So it makes for the book's long-term sales, all based on that first 30 days. So authors that don't do well launch their book and then kind of ignore it and just watch and see who buys it, or watch the sales, and they don't have a launch team in place. That book, after those first 30 days, just kind of trails off and is basically never seen again. Right. And that's the big disappointment for most first-time authors. Knowing that how Amazon works is going to help me make sure that book kind of stays out there and does well in the market.
So how did you find that all out? How did you find out how Amazon works?
I bought a book on launching a book, and I also,
there you go.
Yeah. And I also, working with the publisher's marketing team, they have a bunch of, paid marketing options. But in that conversation, the marketing person I'm working with says, hey, you got to do this and this and this and this, because that's what's going to really put it in front of people for the long term. So learning about that by working with someone who is intimately involved in the publishing process was a real help to me.
And then how did you get a publisher?
So I was going down the road of trying to get a book published by Hay House, and I wrote a book proposal, and I was able to send that proposal to Hay House, and it was not picked of their 100 or 200 entries. And so I also had my plan me, my backup plan was to go to a self-publishing hybrid publishing house. So self-publishing is you do everything yourself and you
Hmm.
probably do a lot of things wrong. A
Yeah, right.
hybrid publisher basically tells you the right things to do in order to publish your self-publish your book correctly. So I purchased a package from Balboa. Balboa Press
Yeah.
is related to Hay House. The author does all the work, him or herself, but the Balboa helpers and representatives tell you you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this, and then when you self-publish your book will be a success.
Oh, there you go. Oh,
Yep,
that's amazing. Wow. Well, see that, folks? Put your mind to something and you can get it done. Okay, I'm
absolutely.
going to take a couple seconds. Um, it is not this Friday, but the 21st. So next week, Friday, is I'm doing the with the Kyle Gray. Oh, I should have like totally had this in front of me because good grief. You don't want to say the name wrong. Um, the Kyle Gray deck, Angels, Gateway of Light Activation, Gateway of Light Activation. That's a deck by Gateway of Light Activation Oracle, a deck by Kyle Gray. And I discovered it has some really amazing energy. So I'm doing an event on Friday, July 21st, 7:30 p.m. Central Time, that is. And it is going to be an energy meditation that is totally bespoke based on the people in the room.
Hmm.
um I will do a reading for the room, and then there will be an energy meditation based on what's in the cards, whether it be races of beings or activations or a combination. It will be totally geared toward who is in the room, and I can't wait because the energy is just out of this world. So you can find it on angiezxuh.com, or you can go to my Facebook page. The event is listed on my Facebook page, which is also Angie ZXUH. And just go to the more and then click on the events tab and you can find it there. And then there's a link in there to go ahead and sign up. So
Sweet.
yeah, I look for it to be really amazing. I'm really excited. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Turn that off. I'll put this on because I didn't make any more questions. Anyway, okay. So back to the guides.
So let me toss out a fun question for you, okay?
Love to.
All right. If someone is not at all connected with their spiritual side, maybe very intellectual, very ego driven, and not connected to the spirit, do they have guides and angels? Do they have less guides and angels than someone who is really connected? Do
Ooh.
they? Yeah. What's your thoughts on that?
I think that
They just get the minimum, right?
I think let's see. What does Matthew say?
I think here's my gut feel. I think if you are really participating in your connection with spirit, more will be given to you to work with.
Okay, that's okay, right. Um, you're on the right track.
Okay, all right.
If you are in alignment and your energy is in alignment with who you are at soul level, as they like to call it, you have more access. So
Okay.
these are available to you always. They are all available to you. But the more in alignment and vibrationally sound you are, gives you more access to different people, different beings. Different beings have different resonances.
Mm-hmm.
So some resonate so very high that the physical body cannot withstand, if you will, that energy. It is uncomfortable. It does
Oh,
not feel good.
okay.
It is uncomfortable. So the more that you do, the more that you meditate, the more in alignment you become, the more access you have. So they are always there, but in a way you are right, because in a way you are right because even though they are always there, they are for you, they are for others as well.
Hmm.
So the more that you connect, the more you move into alignment, the more you do get. Does that make
Interesting.
sense?
That does make sense. I want to bring up a conversation I had with someone when I was very young, or maybe junior high or high school age. And so this was a missionary who was in Africa and was listening to a conversation between an African, witch doctor and another person from the U.S. And the witch doctor said, "Are you lonely?" And the American guy said, I kind of. Why do you ask that?" And the witch doctor said, I don't see the spirits around you. They're just not there. They're just, they're not as many. I forgot the exact phrase he used, but he basically said, "You don't have spirits around you like all of my people do." So,
Oh,
right? And I was like, "Whoa, that was huge." And I only remember that just in the last day or so because of this topic. And again, I was young. I don't remember the context. I don't remember all the details. Just the fact that the witch doctor could see that this guy didn't have the surrounding guides around him, but his people did. I was like, that's really, really interesting.
it is the truth, right? Um, it is exactly as you
Because he
described
that American guy was not resonating with
with
his
any,
guides,
right?
and
Many
somehow the witch doctor,
Americans, many Americans do not.
right,
Many Americans, many
right.
Americans do not resonate.
We like to argue a
Many,
lot, so that's
many Americans have guides who are constantly trying to get their attention.
yep.
Um, but you ever hear people say things? Um, I should have gone with my first thought. I should have
Yeah,
gone
right.
with my first thought.
Yeah, that first
Um,
thought. That's your
those
intuition.
are people who are not yet in alignment. There are also not likely people who are listening. There are also people who in this lifetime may never be in alignment.
Yep.
Uh, you know, but that does not mean they don't go, right? That
Right.
does not mean they do not come back. They don't.
Exactly.
That does not mean they do
They
not come
they
back.
they get another round to
Right.
try and learn how to connect.
And hmm, oh, as the nature of the earth becomes less uh, friendly to humankind,
Hmm.
it will be harder and harder for those who incarnate to come in a good match. So these children, I think you say crystals,
Crystal children.
crystals.
Yep.
Um, and I think, what do you say? Seeds,
Yep. The
seeds,
seed children.
seeds. Um, they are some of the last that will come through. Ooh, okay, Matthew, come on. They are some of the last that will come through. Uh, in really perfect alignment.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's really interesting. I
Yeah,
know
and
there's a sense of urgency right now.
yes. If okay, I'm back. Like
I know you
um
channeled there for a second.
uh if we don't get our bleep together on this planet, I mean it is what it is, right?
Right.
Like it just is
Well,
what it
I
is.
think the point is that all the spiritual awareness that's growing right now is because we need to get our bleep together.
Yeah, right. But the tug of war that's happening, we need to turn the damn lights on so that the cockroaches go back under the refrigerator. That's all I'm saying. And I'm going to leave it at that. Um, that is what it is, I suppose.
Amen.
Wow. That I don't let him out for that long very much like that.
No, that
That
I I
it's
saw that.
it's tiring. It's
Yep,
tiring.
I can see it.
Um, but that it's all right. So can you imagine having him back here in your head all the time?
Right.
So just because um, I recall, I was in a session with Val, and I was wondering about mediumship, and that's another episode that I really feel like we should do. I'd like to get Val on,
Yeah,
and you know we'll
really
do
talk about that again.
another episode about mediumship and kind of what it takes to connect, and what kind of teachers you should look for, and you know what kind of exercises and things can you do to really sort of expand that for yourself. But
Mm,
I remember wondering, because it's not ever really been something I wanted to do um, necessarily, because I find that people looking for a medium tend to be in grief, and I am,
right.
you know, I do believe there are people that hang on to grief for longer than they should. But the other thing is that I'm a bull in a china shop. And so it's hard for me to, you know, dial it. Like, you don't want to steamroll over somebody that's in grief, right? Like,
Right.
you just don't. So it's not ever something. But I remember in a session with Val asking Archangel Michael, like, this is funny. And this speaks to what you said earlier about him. I remember asking, um, can I connect with, you know, people's loved ones, you know, ancestors and loved ones? And he said, well, you are speaking to me, are you not? You hear Matthew, do you not? And I said,
Right.
yeah, well, those loved ones are where we are. So uh
Right. Like,
you know,
hello.
hello, that exactly, like hello. So bottom line is, right, the guides aren't, I think it's funny. This is something really important because I think a lot of people look at this. You know, they go on and on and on. If there's something they think I should do, I hear it over and over and over until I do it,
Sure.
which would lead you to think that I believe they are the boss of me. Uh-uh. I let them go on and on and on because I agree with them. It is something I should do, but I'm in the middle of something right now, right? Like, but if they were to tell me to jump off a cliff, and that's a, you know, that's just a crazy your mom's example,
Right.
I would say no and they would be quiet. I want, if nothing else, for people to know the word guide. They are here to guide you,
Hmm.
right? Angels, they're here to assist you. They're here to love you. They're here to look out for you. They're here to protect you. They are not here to tell you what to do.
Right.
You have to take responsibility for the state of affairs. You have to take responsibility for the actions you take. And then if you use the guides as a what, like a barometer
Sure.
for the energy that you're creating by the choices you're making,
Ooh.
you can't help, that was a good one, right?
Yeah, that was really good.
You can't help but make good choices, right? You
Right.
know, use them.
Right.
So
So
they're guides. They're not here to tell you what to do. They're here to help you
right.
figure it
They're
out for
not
yourself.
taskmasters.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
That was actually one of my questions that I wanted to ask is like guides and teachers guide me to do what? Teach me what? And you kind of already answered that, but let's say someone's brand new. What would be a good question that you could ask your guides or teachers for to be guided
Oh,
or taught?
okay. That's a really, really great question, actually. So in uh I studied soul realignment. That is the that's how I learned to read Akashic records.
Yep.
And so her framework for the idea of doing a spirit guide reading is that the guides have different some of the guys have different positions, very much like when you talk about guardian angels,
Yeah.
um and so like you have a guide that comes with you to this life. That this I'm not, I haven't really established if this guide that she referenced, the one that comes with you into this life, is the same as the guardian angel. It may
Mm.
very well be, depend, it's her interpretation of the energy, Radley's interpretation of the energy, and
Yep.
um but one of the things I always read for is negative guides,
Hmm.
right? And what is a negative guide? Well, everybody takes that word negative and goes to evil, right? Or whatever. But a negative guide is just simply a guide that came along for the ride on some certain ride that you were on, and now you got to the other side and you don't need them anymore, but they kind of wait for you to be okay and for you to say, okay, I'm good, time for
Hmm.
you to go now, right?
Right.
So does it matter if you ever do that? No. But a question that somebody would ask, this is what I think I would want, no matter what kind of a path I'm on. And you could apply this question to uh, in more than one way. Show me the guide, teacher, or angel who helps me in my day to day life,
Oh, that's perfect.
right? Who helps me, and how, right? How? Well, there's meditations, you can do it in meditation. I love the meditation that I do, with people. And it's really just about visualizing a conversation space and inviting that guide in. And then just taking a moment, what do they look like? Are they tall? Are they short? Are they wide? Are they narrow? Are they, is it male, female? And really on the other side, there's not actually gender, but there is a feminine and a masculine sort of energy
Sure. Of course. Yep.
to um to guides. So, but I think the more that you connect with the guide or the angel, the teacher, guide, teacher, angel, I think teachers might warrant their own whole conversation,
Right.
because that's an entirely different thing. Like, I don't, teacher guides, teachers, and angels has always been the three words that uh put it all together for me.
Yeah.
And I've tried taking teachers out of it, and they're like, um I've tried taking teachers out of it. I forgot to turn the phone down. Sorry, folks. I tried taking teachers out of it, guides and angels, and they're like, no, no, you got to put the teachers back.
Right.
So that the teachers, I think, probably are another conversation. So guardian angel to look out for you, right? Your guardian angel is here to look out for you. The guardian angel or your guardian is the one that, the one that makes your car choke when something's coming around fast around the corner, or
Yep.
keeps your car from rolling over when when your
Right.
brakes
When
go
physics
out and
says it
you
should have.
crash into a telephone pole, which I've done, by the way. It was not fun at all. Close your head and turn your head and look straight down. Anyway, so which guide do I work with on my day to day life? That's what I'd want to know first. And
Okay.
then the more you connect with that guide, the easier it will be to start to differentiate the energy around you in whatever way that you differentiate energy. Like I said, it all feels the same to me. I just know there's 8.
Yep.
And then I can, when they speak to me, I hear them in different
Positions.
places in my head, right? Um, So that'd be what I'd want to do first.
Okay.
Is
That's
that
really
one.
helpful, actually.
There you go. But that's not who Cosmo is. Just
No,
FYI.
he's got some other bigger role, I think.
Yeah, but he's not about writing either. He's got something to do with tarot. Like,
That doesn't that totally makes sense. I would actually, I was going to bring that up. When I do readings, I know that the intuition and the meaning that comes from the readings that I do is all from one of those guys, one of those guides.
yeah, for it's almost like he's a boss, but not a boss of you, like a boss of others. Like there's others, like he's
Right.
above. Okay, so you folks, you're gonna get to watch this for free. Um, this is what it's like to work with me. So I don't like to put anybody or anything on a pedestal, right? Like I think that a pedestal is not a good idea because it's far fall, right? Like
Hmm.
so
Yep.
I never put
That's a
teachers or
human thing.
anything on a pedestal, like front nothing. But he's on a pedestal. He's higher, right? Like he's up. And there's three. 1, 2, 3. He's up. There's 3. Ah, okay. So do you split your readings in like different categories, like romance, work,
Yep.
life?
Always. Yep. I
Yeah.
do
So
3 categories actually.
is it really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it actually is.
So there's
Um,
3. It's 3, right? Like it's
love,
3.
love and relationships, career and business, and uh, family and home.
Home. Okay. All right. So each one of them is responsible for a different category. That's interesting. But he is like the boss of them, just because it's fun to say it that way, right? But okay, so you've heard me say this before. You have heard me say this is not new. He is there waiting for you to be ready to be the teacher, to get out of the realm of the student. He's up
Okay.
here, he's waiting. Whenever you're ready, he's not the boss of you, he's the boss of them,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
But if you want to write a deck, if you want to create a tarot course, if you want to write a book about tarot, if you want to write a guidebook, he's the one that you work with.
Okay.
So Cosmo. Now, 2 of them, this is interesting. 2 of them are female and 1 is male energy.
Okay.
And you would think that one of the female energies would actually be the home and family, but it's not. The home and family is a male, and then the other 2 are
Female.
female. The other 2 categories are you. I mean, in the sort of human construct, you would think that the male would be
Right.
career
The
and
businessman.
business,
Right.
but no, that's a woman, and then love and romance, a woman, and then the male is home and family.
Hmm.
Which I mean, I guess if you so I can see him now as like like a carpenter, like with a tool belt,
With the tool belt.
right? Yep. Like so he responsible for sort of.
I'll call him Tim.
I think I love that. I love that. He's okay with it too, actually. It's easy, right? But I can see him being responsible not only, like when you do read for home and family, you're not just reading like to tell people what it is or what things are, but you're really reading they want to use the word maintenance.
Hmm.
In other words, you're helping people maintain, right,
Right.
their home and their
The
family and
relationships.
hold things together in a way. So he actually works with you on that. The one in the middle, the love and relationships, she's a little I'm going to
Lady.
use the word flitty, like.
Yep. I knew you were going to say that because
Yep.
that was coming to me too.
Yep, she's a little bit, like I don't know, maybe like a pink tutu or something, something of that. She's a little
Perfect.
bit flitty, like she's a little bit flitty, flirty, all about love, right?
Right.
Like everything is love and light and bright and beautiful. So for some reason. She does have a name. Her name is Polly.
Polly? I'll go
Yeah,
with that.
Polly. Yeah, she likes Polly. Okay. Yeah,
It's easy to
I'm not.
remember, Pollyanna.
I am not saying that. I'm not saying that. Um, Sometimes I tell them there's stuff I won't say. Because Matthew is smarty pants.
Right.
And then the other one is for you to connect with. They said. So,
Okay.
but that's what it's like. So that's what it's like to work with me.
That's
Um,
very cool.
AngieZXUH.com. Sign up for a
Seriously,
session.
if this is for listeners now, if you are interested in what you just saw, please book a session with Angie.
Thank you, John. Yeah, it's really interesting. So I feel things in shapes. Like I told you about the L, right?
Right. The
Like
L and
so,
the
I
hexagon.
can feel it in shapes. So when I feel it's three, it's 1, 2, 3, and then he's up here. He is waiting for you to get
Okay.
out of the realm of the student. That's what they said.
All right.
Teacher hiding in the realm of the student. So that's okay because oh my goodness, we hit an hour. Do we have time for tarot time though,
Let's
right?
do
You
a
can
quick
make it
one
quick,
because I
can't
think
you?
I think this will be a quick one.
All right. Why is it the tower or the death card?
No, no, it's a real easy one.
Oh, okay.
All right, so today's card is the Two of Cups, and let me pull up my notes here real quick. All right, so I've got the Two of Cups here, and the Two of Cups is the Lover's card.
Ooh,
So
ooh.
it's also known in a business reading, it would be a partnership card, but it's the lovers or partnerships, and almost because it's in the cups and cups are emotion. Typically, it's going to show up in the meaning in a reading is going to be about romantic partnerships or friendships. So one of the other things that I want to stress about this is that it is coexistence in balance. So this is not like a a fling or a quick flash in the pan sort of thing. This is trust, compassion, and partnership. So if you see the card, I'll put this up again. Those two hands are, everything is in balance in this card, right? The two hands are holding, the two cups are there, right? Everything's in balance. And that's very important with this card. And I want to make a distinction between, there's another card in the deck called the Lover's card, which is in the Major Arcana.
Oh,
And quite
okay.
often that one is a lot more intense. It has more of a fling feel to it. But the Two of Cups is much more of a partnership card. So the mantra for this card from Chris Ann's deck is, I thrive in partnerships and my heart leaps for joy when I connect.
Wow.
So it's a really lovely card to get in a reading. It almost always means something good happening, whether it's a relationship, a partnership, or just kind of the balance of love and the balance of trust and partnership in whatever the reading is about.
Wow. It feels lovely. And it's really interesting that, as you said, the lover's card, I can, just because I've had the ducks around, I can feel the difference. Like
Yeah,
one is kind of, bright and bubbly, and the lover's card is almost like,
it's almost too heavy.
yeah, because you know what it almost feels like? I hate to say it, but it almost feels like an affair.
Yeah, yep.
Kind of
That's
illicit
that's the
or
gist I get
or
too when I get that card.
yeah, it kind of feels like an affair. So, wow, outstanding. So, I'm hoping that you are doing a better job of keeping track of these cards than I am.
I have a sheet on my computer, but I have every single reading or every single card we've done and the details on it. So feels like this is becoming a course.
Yeah, I think it really does. I think it really does, because I think there's a lot of, there's a lot of what you're telling us that I haven't heard before, and it makes me feel like I can grasp and understand the framework of tarot, which is
Cool.
something that I'm fascinated by, but it's always been
too much work.
Well, yeah, it's pretty feng shui, isn't it?
Yes.
You
Right.
know, but I mean, I feel like you divide it. If you start with the categories and then you start, learning the stories and everything, I think you're onto something here. So
Yeah.
I think that people would find it very enjoyable and find you very enjoyable. And
Thank
then
you.
if you throw in the opportunity for people to, do a Zoom once a month or something to do those practice readings, I think you're onto something here. So
Awesome. Yep.
that's a little free from Cosmo, a little free advice from Cosmo. There you
All
go.
right. Yes.
All
Funny you should
right.
mention that. But anyway,
It is what it is.
it is what it is.
I do what I do.
Yes, you do. And you do it well, Angie. You do it well.
Thank you. And as do you. As soon as we get you up and out of that student,
Okay.
but there are people who do spend a lot of time in it's not unique. It's
Right. Yeah. The professional student role. I'm familiar with that.
well, and you know, you have there is a joy that you get from reading these books that
True.
is not available to everybody.
That's true.
So anyway, all right. So we only went a few minutes over. It's good. So listen, answer the questions in the comments, please. Throw in the comments if there's anything you'd like us to talk about, anywhere you'd like to go with this. And then next week we're going to talk about the Force.
Yes. And I'm all ready.
I am so excited to talk about the Force because there's so many places we can take it that
Yep.
we could start right now, but no, because the show is over. So thank you all for joining us so much, so much. And really, if you don't mind sharing, and subscribing and because we're still trying to get to that 100.
Yep.
We want to get to that 100.
Goal.
So we're tired of the double nickels. Would like to, get to the 100. Anyway, all right. Well, thank you, John. This was so much fun.
Yeah, thanks, Angie.
Thanks everybody for listening, and we'll see you next week. May the Force be with you.
Thank you for listening to Does It Resonate With You, the thought-provoking conversation show with your hosts, Angie of the ZXUH Method and John the Tarot Geek. Please help us out by clicking the subscribe button here on the YouTube channel. We appreciate your support.